This guy is interesting. The only longevity athlete that would ever show up to an interview at 2 a.m. in the morning.
In my cases, live forever, literally forever. Not 10 years, 20 years. No. That's stupid, because by then you have aged a lot and you're stupid, bro, at that point, right? In the end, we really don't understand age, as aging to the teeth and everything. We don't. So we don't have a clear picture, right? And that's why we still keep dying, right?
Juan Robalino, number 7 on the Longevity World Cup. This guy is interesting. The only longevity athlete that would ever show up to an interview at 2 a.m. in the morning.
Yeah.
So, right. Tell me about your sleep. Let's start there.
With my sleep, I have, I always had like a strange relationship with my sleep. And then let's talk about the last 10 years or the last 5 years. So in the last 5 years, like my sleep schedule has been very irregular. Some days like backwards, like, I will be awake at night and asleep most of the day. And here in Ecuador, we're on the equator. So throughout all the year, we have the same schedule. 6:30 is already getting dark. 7 is completely dark. 6 is starting to get, some kind of coming out. Very consistent in my mess of my schedule. I tried to fix it, and I was successful to fix it somehow in the past year. In the past month, it went whack again, and here I am.
Are you an artist?
Am I what?
Artist.
What do you mean with that?
Well, I could see some pianos behind you and some other musical instruments. Not now, but before.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I can play the piano, yes. I can play the guitar too. And I can, now if I am learning to sing, opera singing. My wife is, let's not talk about my wife.
Well, your wife is in a very good position on the Longevity World Cup as well, isn't she?
Yeah, I mean,
Olga,
she's pregnant,
right?
And when in pregnancies, your alkaline phosphatase goes to the moon.
More bad news for the sleep.
Yeah, and whatever it doesn't count. But either way, why not, right? Yeah, just apply and let's see how it evolves. Anyway, she's a soprano. I met her in Vienna, and I actually wanted to become a musician, and I traveled to Europe, to Austria, with the goal of becoming a concert pianist. But while being there, I changed career. But still, I still can play piano and do all these things, and I like it. I mean, I like good music. It doesn't restricts only to classical, although it's what I hear most of the time, like 99% of the time. But I mean, in other genres, you can find interesting stuff. So
well, look, that's first of all. Can you sing something right now?
No, don't ask me that. No. No.
Just a little concert here.
No. Yeah, money, you have to pay for the
concert.
Right. No, it's good.
So if you become like a really good longevity athlete, then people can hire you to sing. Yeah, you're doing like that, like in professional settings and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, as I tell you, my wife, she's a professional singer. I mean, she sings in operas, in concerts. She has sang with all the orchestras in this country. She's from Latvia, so she has obviously sang where she comes from, and in the United States too. She lives with me in Ecuador. Yeah, I mean, no problem. It's fun.
Okay, so here is an idea. Why don't you guys create some music for the Longevity World Cup? We don't have any yet.
Music? Oh my God! But that's different. One thing is being a performer, right? Where you perform existing pieces, and then you have the composer. You most of the time, one cannot do both. Usually, the composer can perform, but it's not that. I mean, they restrict more to their craft, right? So in our case, I mean, I actually, I honestly don't enjoy it that much. Well, now more performing. I like more creating. I like to do things well. Okay, so I don't think I will feel satisfied if I try to do it. If you give me some time,
That's
perhaps.
okay. That's okay. Don't
Yeah.
worry about that. Wow, there's so many things. I'm still trying to figure you out here. Let's try going into your routines. So you talked about your sleep. It's clear that you're not paying that much attention to it
No, I
as
do. I
other
do.
athletes. You do.
Believe it or not, I do pay attention to it. It's just that uh, you called me in very confused times. I mean, in confused times, confused times with the things that I know and understand. And this relates to longevity. Okay. Yeah. So I'm a bit more relaxed at the moment. Let's see. I mean, it's good to experiment. Then in this case, I mean, there are many ways how you can track what's going on with your body, right? Blood work is one. Then there are other things you can do. So let's see where it goes. And I mean, this is very recent. Like there was this, there is this weird paper, which I mean, I haven't read it in detail. Okay, so but it's just the gist, right? And it's confusing me. It's like I mean, I need to dedicate time to it.
A white
And it's
paper.
about circadian rhythm. They made an experiment in Drosophila, these insects, whatever. Because my mind is a bit cloudy at the moment, so I cannot. I don't want to
Yeah,
say
2
stupid.
a.m. in the morning, of course.
No, no, no. No, it's not that. I'm just. I don't want. I'm very wary. I don't want to say stupid shit. You know why? Besides the obvious reasons, because I don't think nobody likes to say stupid shit, right? But I know I can see
I
myself on the
say
future.
stupid shit all the time. Don't worry about that.
Okay, yeah. But what it matters for me is that, I know myself in the future, I can be watching this. And I say, look at that, putting the face palm and saying, oh, such a moron, right? So,
I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
whatever, right?
You
But
just
yeah,
keep laughing and smiling. I think that's a good one.
hopefully.
All right,
So,
so where were we?
about the Drosophila, so they made this experiment, and I don't remember. There's such a pity. I don't know if they did a knockout or whatever, but they kind of screw with specific genes that are related to the circadian control of the thing. And they would say, "Oh my God, this will be bad." Everybody, not everybody, but I think it's common knowledge that circadian rhythm is an important aspect for longevity, right? That you have to
Hmm.
wake up at the same time, you have to eat at the same time, and then you have to shit at the same time. It's everything.
Hmm.
Everything is controlled by the circadian rhythm. Like many things, the bacteria in your stupid body and in your gut has their own clocks. There are many different clocks everywhere, and the orchestra, right? And then the result was the opposite. They found that when they disrupt this nonsense, they actually extend the life of these things.
Oh,
And
what was
it's like,
it? Was it a
huh?
mouse? What was
Well,
it?
as I told you, I haven't looked at that in the detail. I just
Ah,
read the title and then reviewed the answer, and I was like, "What the hell? What is this?" You know. So
oh
anyway,
yeah.
I have a lot of shit in my head, and so it takes me time to go through everything, right? So it's in the to do list to review and to check. But I'm mentioning it because we're talking about me being awake at 2 in the morning, and about me telling you that I'm a bit in confused state, right? Because there are many things that I have checked that are kind of contradictory to the common knowledge that that I had in my mind before, right? So and also, for example, for PhenoH, for example, specifically for PhenoH, the score that I used to apply was when I was not doing my best. Like, I mean, what the hell, And then I did a more strict diet and a strict schedule and everything, more organized. And then my PhenoH was worse, right? So, so there's a lot of nuance, and I understand. Like, I understand what could have happened, right? But again, it all comes into not putting myself in a box of how things should be, right? and then just go through use some common sense and things that, of course, I'm not going to eat at McDonald's every day. Of course, I'm not going to drink alcohol to death every day. You understand? So obviously within reason, right? And to go with the flow, right? And then keep track. I mean, I keep track of many things. I use this stupid Whoop that I have issues with it because it's kind of like it's not really open source, and it's very closed. It's closed source
Yeah,
also.
of course.
So and my issue is that, for example, the HRV calculations that you use is at specific times, is the way they want,
Mm-hmm.
and what if you want to do something else, or for example, calculate the HRV throughout the day, or having a moving average, or make a time series, or calculate other things? You can't, and you try to export the data, and it's an issue also. I mean, so there are things you can do, right? Like, for example, you can buy a chest strap, and then you can you can get the raw data, the intervals, and then you can
Right.
calculate, no problem, right? Going back to what I was telling you, I track many things with the goal of seeing, to find out where those things converge in the good sense. Okay, like if you were navigating in an ocean, right, and you just go through what the gods will, not what the gods, but the laws of nature. That you can actually manipulate, in this case, in my case, with interventions like that and other things, right? And now with regarding the circadian rhythm, that I'm waking up at 2 in the morning. No, not waking up, but I'm awake at 2 in the morning, and I'm falling asleep quite late now, which is I don't know. I'm going back to the past, right? Let's see what happens. Let's see how all these numbers that I track, how if they improve, if they get worse, whatever, right?
We'll see.
In
We'll
the
see.
in the end, we really don't understand aging to the teeth, and everything. We don't. So we don't have a clear picture, right? And that's why we still keep dying, right? Nobody
Right.
really
Right.
knows what's the answer. Okay.
You see, there was also an issue with the phenoage calculation itself because so I had to hack it around. The problem is that you have some biomarkers like red cell distribution width, and the lower your red cell RDV is, the better it is in the phenoage. But
Yeah.
the lower you go, the better it is. You reach zero, you get like a infinitely minus phenoage, right?
Yeah.
Like
You
this kind of
introduce the
problems.
caps, right?
So I had
Yeah.
to introduce the caps for it because science,
I
science.
actually wanted to ask you a question. I
Hmm.
checked the GitHub. I think in one conversion, the order of things is it doesn't look right. I don't remember now which one was it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I have to check it out. If I remember, in the front end, when you click on the units and you select the units, let's say I choose milligrams per deciliter or whatever it is, then it multiplies by the conversion factor, right,
Uh-huh.
in your code. So I think in one of them, in one of those, it's a bit. It should
Is
be
it
up, but it's
white?
down.
Is it
I don't remember which one
W
was.
V
I, I don't.
WBC white blood cell count?
I don't remember. I really don't remember. I checked this like 2-3 months ago, and I meant to tell you, but time
Right.
went by, and it
Uh-huh,
stayed.
uh-huh. Yeah, I have a bug that I know about, and I'm kind of hunting that bug for like half a year already. But yeah, I always have to manually fix it when people send me in because they get like really high white blood cell count, and I just have to put a number of divided by 1000. I don't know why
Oh,
that's happening. But maybe that's it. Maybe that's it. I will check it out. All right.
yeah.
Circadian rhythm.
I think. I mean, it's good to experiment, right? In the end, I mean, there's a lot of variation among individuals, right? I mean, if you are going to test something, I mean, there are many ways you can do it. You can test both extremes. You can be in the middle, whatever. And obviously, you need to be structured how you do this, and have a starting point, like a baseline, You can track many things. I don't know. I track many things. Like I track everyday blood pressure. I track with a spirometer the lung function. I track obviously heart rate. Did I say HRV too? I measure brain waves.
Brain waves.
Yeah, yeah.
Tell
Because
me
I mean,
about that.
nobody talks about the stupid brain, right?
No, I
And
was thinking
and
about it, but I
I,
never got into it.
yeah,
Sell me
it's
brainwave
ridiculous.
tracking.
Well, why nobody's talking about the stupid brain? I mean, okay, you don't want to be your head brain. I mean, as you get older, you can become more stupid, right? I mean, it's the truth.
You
I mean,
know, I met a scientist in Prospera who said that, you know, all this biohacking nonsense doesn't matter until we figure out how to fix the brain, because that is the bottleneck.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. So if in the end, you start losing white matter, and then you start. I mean, it's not the same, okay? Yeah. So how can you actually track that at home and non-invasively, obviously? So I'm trying to figure out what to do. I have issues. I have always issues with the concept of brainwaves. Like, it sounds stupid to me, honestly, but was at first, without having any knowledge about the matter. Okay, like it's because there's a lot of let's say controversial applications of them, right? Like, for example, they are used in meditation. Some groups use them,
mhm.
and within the meditation world, there are many, let's call it, groups that promote different. I don't know. Let's just be very
Brainwaves.
basic. Let's be vague. I don't want to mention names or be mean. Different things that for me is difficult to understand. Okay, let's put it like
Mhm.
that. I try to be very open minded. Believe it or not, it doesn't matter.
I believe it.
Even if for example, if they're talking about something that I think I know, I would, and they're saying very obvious stuff or very basic stuff, I will still listen, because they may say something either from a different point of view, right, that I haven't taken it into account, and it's good to see things. It may help you to see other things that you didn't consider before, right? So in the case of meditation, with the brainwaves, yeah. So seeing all this stuff is not related with what you just told you. I'm just trying. That was a tangent. Okay. So going back to what I was telling you about the brainwaves, what I have seen, how it has been applied to all to meditation things and other, like, there's a lot of neurofeedback stuff. And when you try to search on on the literature about neurofeedback, if it works or not, it's a bit, let's say, it's not very clear in my opinion, to me, or convincing, right? For some things maybe, but it doesn't. I mean, for me, it doesn't convince me really as something useful, really. But who knows? I'm not an expert on the subject. I may be saying stupid shit. I may change my mind. But this is what I thought of them. Okay. So anyway, so I thought, okay, how we could give this a try, because I mean, how other way you can really track your brainwaves every day, right? I mean, your mental state, or your mental health, or your brain health. So I decided to give it a try, right? Yeah. So now my point of view have changed a little bit, but still, at the moment, well, I don't have the answer. So, but you have to experiment and see what happens, right? So anyway, I think there are some interesting things you can do with brainwaves that can give you perhaps as the information about a state of inflammation in the brain, perhaps, right? So there are certain states that can be characterized with brainwaves, and it perhaps may give you some information about brain inflammation, for example, which is what I'm interested. I mean, in my opinion, I mean, the main issue, also a big deal. Let's not say the main issue. Let's say a big deal is the issue of inflammation. To fight inflammation and the roots of inflammation, obviously, which in this case, I am a team mitochondria, right? So for me, those are like the main things, really. I mean, if in your brain, if the mitochondria die, right, then you start losing white matter, right? and and this stuff here, most of it cannot really regenerate, so it's over, right? Without here in Ecuador, I'm a bit limited because you want to have like stuff like, for example, Michael Lux Cannon does. He has access in the United States, or anybody in the United States, actually, not just him.
Yeah.
They have access to different kind of tests that here we don't. It's kind of annoying, right? But yeah, that's the reality. So, and also you want something that, but even then, you will want to have something that will allow you to keep track of things every day. Like I like to do it every day. I mean, the more data, the better, right? So every day, maybe many times a day, whatever. And how can you do that? Not even with blood samples, you can do it every day, many times, or every day, right? I mean, you're going to destroy your veins or whatever. Right? So finding ways, how can you keep track of things, and then that actually work as good proxies of whatever you're looking for. And then obviously, have a protocol, like very standardized, where you can apply an intervention and then follow longitude. I cannot pronounce that word, but I know what what I want to say. Longitudinal.
Longitudinal. Longitudinal studies.
Yeah. So you can track over time, right?
Yeah.
And then you can do statistics and not just correlation. Maybe you can go beyond correlations, right? You can infer causation. There are many methodologies you can apply, and then figure something out, and hopefully you find something, right?
Let me tell you about an idea that I had about these brain wave measuring systems. You're familiar with the notes, the do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, whatever. There are these games on the internet where you control the things by trying to say the notes, right? With your voice, you're controlling the character.
Yeah, I know. Come on. I
Now,
mean, you do that. That's actually, it's nice
it's
that
super hard for me.
it's nice that you remind me of this. I have now a bit of a conflict in terms of, like, for example, I had tried to work on the brain for many years, like, and I developed weird abilities, right, which are completely useless. Okay, but
okay.
I
Like
just like what? For example, let's go in parts. First, I started writing backwards. Okay,
okay.
no big deal. Then I started writing with my left hand, and then what I started doing to write with both hands at the same time. And then, which is the most difficult one, and I stopped. I'll tell you why I stopped. I mean, I probably could continue, but it just was making me nervous. Okay, so I just decided to stop because it was making me dizzy. Okay, and I
Okay.
think I was overexerting myself, and I stopped. Anyway, maybe I should continue, but I don't know. And it's the activity of once you write with both hands. Okay, you can write, with both hands at the same time. But then if you try to write two different things with each hand, then it becomes more difficult. Okay,
yeah.
try.
You
So
can.
then I tried to do one hand in one language, English, saying one specific thing, and then in the other hand, in another language, writing a different thing with the left hand at the same time. So I started doing that nonsense, okay? And then, I started, after some time, after relatively quick, I will get tired, and then I did this for some time, and I was starting to get dizzy. So, I would feel in this kind of like how you call it, a lightheaded feeling, like, not very nice for some time, for hours, and it will go away. And usually when I fall asleep and wake up next day. So yeah, I don't know. I just decided to stop. Whatever. I don't know. I think that maybe if I continue with slow doses, maybe eventually I would have, like with everything, you kind of get used to it and you adapt to it, and who knows. But in the end, they're useless. It's useless. I mean, it hasn't helped me at all in other things. And I did this many years ago. Okay, that's one aspect. Like I was thinking maybe you can do brain training, right? To train the brain, whatever it was going to help the brain, whatever that was there. Also making big multiplication numbers, like mentally. Like, I'm very slow, but you go by step. Like I used to do,
Hmm.
like for practice, like try to multiply 5,327 times 4,003 to, whatever. And then just memorizing the numbers at the beginning is difficult, right? At the beginning, and then try to multiply the whole fucking thing. It would take me ages, but I was able to do it at one point, but very slow, right? But again, you need to practice like a long time, until you can do it.
Right. And there is the Rubik cube as well.
Well, yeah. Yeah, and then I learned, like, for example, how to memorize, like, for example, the 500 numbers, or you have many deck of cards, like, 8 deck of cards, whatever, and then you see them once, and then you memorize them, all of them, and then you can recite them in different order, backwards. It doesn't matter. You can ask, what's the card number 13 or 18, and I will tell you. And it's not difficult. I mean, this thing everybody can learn, you know. So anyway, with this nonsense that I was doing for some time, you know, the thing is that whatever you do with all these things, you still will lose it, right? Obviously, if you don't practice, you become bad at it. Not, you start, like everything.
Oh yeah.
You use it or lose it. It
Hmm.
is what it is, right? So this has nothing to do with the inflammation part. If your brain is still inflamed, you're still gonna lose your brain, and then you're gonna become, stupid in the end, right? So so I started, like, losing kind of interest in brain training, for the simple fact of that you're really not addressing the issue.
Hmm.
You
Hmm.
know, you're not stopping aging by doing these things. You are, in the end, you
Uh-huh.
are degrading yourself, and this is what I want. And it's kind of tragic that, you do all these things, and then it doesn't matter. Like, it's like, you run, but then you're being sucked in, no escape.
Right.
Same with the muscles,
Right.
right? And everything. And that's aging. It's tragic. So the goal is to stop aging, not to try to become like bigger muscles or whatever. That in the end you're gonna lose it. Of course, I mean, I'm not trying to say that it's not good to do exercise, and of course it is. But I make a distinction between being healthy and trying to defeat aging. Right? For me, they are
Hmm.
not together. Okay,
Okay.
you can be healthy, but you're aging. Maybe
Right.
you're aging a little bit slower, but you're aging, right? I mean, so the goal is to actually stop aging, and exactly figure it out how to how to stop it. I mean, I'm a bit desperate about it. Okay, so, and it bothers me because I mean, I think most of it, what you find in media, when they talk about longevity, they're not talking about longevity. What they're talking about, that's not longevity. Maybe I have the term wrong in my head. Okay, maybe that could be it. Because when I hear longevity, what I understand is living 500,000 years forever. For me, that's longevity. Okay, it seems that what they mean with longevity is just to if we talk about people, like an aggregate of people, they mean about that they live a little bit longer than the average lifespan,
Hmm.
right? And that's
Hmm.
longevity. I mean, that's not longevity. Come on, I mean, in my mind, right? And I don't think anybody who is participating in these things, who is I don't think they're interested in living 5 years more than the average, or 10 years more, right? I
Hmm.
mean,
Hmm.
I don't know. Like, in my case, like, in my case is to live forever, literally forever. Not 10 years, 20 years. No, 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 no. That's stupid, because by then you have aged a lot, and you're stupid, probably, at that point, right? What I mean is that not young, right? Not at your best shape, I think, physiologically. Okay. Let me go back to what I was telling you before. Okay. You were telling me about this exercise about where you try to intonate, and it will raise the ball, and so when you study music, when you start studying music, there's a subject called I don't know how you say in English, and it's in solfeggio, I think it is. Have you heard of that?
A what?
Solfeggio? Maybe I'm pronouncing like an
Salvage.
idiot.
Okay.
So it's a subject that you take when you study music, okay? And in this subject, basically you train your ears. They
Ah.
call it aural skills. So basically,
Ah, yeah.
you learn to identify intervals. You
Yes.
learn to identify and follow, right? So it's not just about identifying the interval. You also sing along. And usually,
Mm-hmm.
depending in what country you are, some are more strict and more difficult. But for example, you're in Latvia, like from where my wife comes, uh, she's been studying music since she's very little, from grade school all the way to university. Anyway, but from grade school, she told me that at the end of like the test, like they had to sing a cappella a piece,
Yes.
for example. And that's not straightforward. I mean, if you try to sing like a piece in a cappella, what happens if you're not very trained is first you can be out of tune. Obviously, you're singing whatever, like you know what I mean. You're not you're
Mm-hmm.
singing a piece, and but you're singing other notes, and it's not the ones that are supposed to be. And also, you change the key. I don't know if you're familiar with the term of key.
No,
Anyway,
not
so
really.
you sing in a different key, and then it's a Frankenstein in the end, right? It's not what it's
Uh-huh.
supposed to. So you're supposed to train these things if you become a musician, okay?
Right.
And especially if you want to become a singer, obviously, because you need to see to be you need to be in pitch. I think singing, opera singing specifically, is really good exercise for the head, not because you train your ears, to sing in pitch. Also, there's a lot of, in contrast to other instruments, like for example the piano or the guitar, you are producing the sound like from your body. You are the instrument, right?
Mm-hmm.
So for example, in a piano, you press the note and that note comes out. Same with the
Mm-hmm.
guitar, okay?
Mm-hmm.
With the voice, oh my god, so
Oh,
in
I
addition to
see.
hearing well, and you want to sound good, not sound like a moron, right? Because most people say, "Oh, I have no voice," but it's because it's not that you just say the note and that's it. No, I mean there's a technique behind it, right? With the tongue position, the soft palate, the larynx, and you have to coordinate all of this. And in addition to that, the respiration is how you call it. Yeah, the
Breathe.
how you breathe. Yes, how you breathe. How you breathe matters a lot. Actually, it's very important, and you work a lot of with your diaphragm. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and there are many parallels with CO2 tolerance, for example. Have you tried to sing like for a long time, or maybe play a woodwind instrument like a flute or something, that when you start doing it, then you start getting dizzy? Have you felt that? Have you tried?
I haven't, but you know what? I started a routine as like a half year long routine of I'm trying to learn this kind of breathing heavy techniques. So right now I set the notes singing stuff because that's what I'm doing in the next 2 weeks. But I'm going to move on to wind instruments, right? Like a flute and whatnot, and singing as well.
Singing, man, singing is the best. Do
Uh
singing,
huh.
do singing. Yeah,
I
I
will.
mean,
I will.
singing is an opera singing is the best. It is
Okay.
very physical, and in contrast to pop singing or other kinds of singing, you don't use a microphone. Okay, so you're supposed to be audible against a whole orchestra. Okay, so it requires a lot of, you train a lot your muscles, your intercostal muscles for breathing, and also how you basically you have to become a master at breathing. It's
Mm-hmm.
very important, and again, it requires a lot of energy. I mean, if you're gonna sing a high note, oh my god, like, depends on. I think you. I'm not sure what kind of voice that you are. I think you might be a baritone. I'm not sure. Maybe I'm bullshitting you. I don't know. My wife will tell you
I
more
think I'm a
precisely.
tenor, but
I don't know.
so look. When I was high school, I actually went to singing class. So everyone on this class was singing, but I just get there because I couldn't get anywhere else. But I was a tenor there, so
Yeah, whatever.
I don't
Look,
know.
this is an issue in classical singing. Many people don't know what they're talking about in the fucking world. Sorry, I mean they are
Yeah, of
very.
course.
It's a pity, and it's very frustrating. There's no. It's not like in math or physics, like where you have a theorem and this is it. It's not that. Oh, I know. I think it should be this way. No, it's this way, and that's it, right? And that's the truth. Right, under certain conditions in math, right? In opera singing, No, is everybody has their own definitions. Everyone has their own terminology, and everyone thinks it has their own ideas of what is what, and it's a huge issue actually. I will not don't think what your teachers in early times what they told you when you were in high school, grade school, when don't believe them. Again, I cannot tell you exactly if you are a tenor or a baritone. I mean, I'm a tenor, but I am in a low range of the
All
tenor
right.
range. I'm in the dramatic tenor. That's how they call it. So you had
Ah,
different. You had
okay. In that
yeah.
definition, I would be a baritone. Yeah.
So if I'm a dramatic tenor, you're
Yeah.
probably a baritone. Yeah,
Right.
and within the baritone realm, you have different kinds of baritones. You have the lower end, like the bass baritone, the verde baritone. You have the normal
Mm.
baritone. You have the lyric baritone, and then in between the light baritone and the dramatic tenor, you have something in between, which is usually called the Helden tenor, which is the tenors that usually sing for Wagner stuff.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah, which is somewhere there, like but anyway, but yeah, so singing is great, especially I like to do things that I'm not good at. I'm honestly not that great with singing. For me, piano is much easier and guitar much easier too, but for some reason for me singing is not that straightforward. I think it's this is funny because a lot of the psychology comes into singing, well, with everything. But in this case, because you are producing the sound, if you are insecure or what have you been your habits throughout all your life. For example, if you were somebody that doesn't talk too much or doesn't or is not or you're not loud. Like for example, I myself in my life I was never loud. I didn't talk much. It was very, by my own, you know what I mean? So for me, for example, to raise my voice, when I started singing, I didn't know how to really scream. Like I could not scream. I was not loud at all. And because I didn't talk that much, like, or whatever, like, for example, there's yeah, I had issues, okay, making sounds, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, like for example falsetto. I don't know if you're familiar with the concept of falsetto. So you have many registers, like not many, I mean you have the chest voice. In general you have what they call the chest voice, you have the falsetto, and then you have the mixed register where kind of you combine a bit of chest and a bit of
Oh, yeah.
falsetto, and then you have something between. That's how soprano sings. In my case, I didn't have falsetto at all, non-existent. I could not do it, like this Mickey Mouse sound. I could not do it at all. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
ridiculous. Anyway, but it's very personally dependent. So I think it's good to do things that are difficult, that you find challenging. I don't know in your case. You told me you have issues playing the game, but it was because you could not intone it, or because physically you could not do it, like reach the note. Which one
Oh,
is it?
I started this 2 days ago, right? And today I got much better already than yesterday, so I'm hopeful there. But I
Yeah,
wasn't able to like, so I had to hit the notes, right, for a certain period of times. And at the beginning, when I started 2 days ago, is like I didn't hit the note. Whenever I hit it, I didn't hit it enough. But today I get to level 2, so I'm like king of singing now.
yeah. So the pitch aspect is one, and then how to control this, to go up and down and
uh,
everything. Another
uh-huh.
one, when you start, you cannot really go that high, but as you train, you can go higher and higher and higher and higher and higher, and you can do
Uh-huh.
higher notes. And then there's the other aspect. It's not just about pitches. Then is the rhythm thing. How to count, right? You have a meter,
Right.
and you start counting, and then you follow with your hand, and that's very good for the head too. I think. I mean, it's not that straightforward. I mean, you know, there are some people that have the talent that, for example, and what I mean with talent, is that they are they have the skill without doing shit. Okay, so they just have it, right? Like for example, absolute pitch. You know what's absolute pitch? Have you heard of that?
No.
Okay, absolute pitch is when I press a note, whatever the note it is, and you can instantly tell me what note that is.
Uh-huh,
You
uh-huh,
understand?
uh-huh, uh-huh,
So that's
uh-huh.
absolute pitch. So some people
Okay.
have that natural, without trying nothing. They just have it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Others don't. Most people don't.
Or you
Okay.
can learn it, right?
No,
No?
you can't. No, this thing,
Okay.
you have it, or that's it. But it's not over, right? It's not over. Like, there's like, you have the absolute pitch, and then you have relative pitch, where you require a reference tone to kind of like, how to say it, to reference. So you hear the
Okay.
note, and kind of like, you know where you are, okay, and you can identify the intervals and the notes, but you need the reference, okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that thing, yes, that you can get,
Yeah. Yeah.
okay, and with training, and that's good enough. If you want to become a great musician, a composer, you just need relative pitch, actually.
Mm-hmm.
You don't need absolute pitch. And actually, in the future, as you get older, some people that have absolute pitch, because your brain goes whack, whatever, then you actually start. I think I heard this from Richter. Richter is a very famous pianist. He's dead, okay? He had this documentary about himself, and he talks about when he's old that what he hears is actually not on pitch. Like, instead of being an A, is an A flat, for example. I don't remember exactly, but and that can be an issue you know, of course. I mean, you're hearing something else, right? People that don't have absolute pitch always hear something else, right? Maybe an idea, but not precisely. Yeah. So I don't know. Anyway, not important. So yeah, so I think those are important skills. And I think for the brain is excellent. Yeah,
All
it
right.
overlaps with many things, not just with
Uh,
with,
so,
also with the breathing, a lot of psychology, and also if you perform music. I mean, nice music. Oh my God! I mean, I don't know. Have you played an instrument?
uh, yeah, but not like like you. So I was able to do some Hungarian folk, whatever, in a piano and in a flute, but that was pretty much it.
Okay.
But look, I wasn't actually. I was just trying to say this kind of games. But what I was trying to tell you is that, hey, with the biofeedback training, we could
Yeah.
do the same kind of games, couldn't we? Right? Like,
Well,
if we would try to hit those brain waves intentionally, how cool would that be? Maybe
that's
even
that.
useful.
That's the point of neurofeedback. So
Uh huh.
yeah, exactly. And that's where my issue starts. I'm not using it to train the brainwaves. I'm using it because I want to be able to find a proxy of brain inflammation.
Uh huh. Uh huh.
So that, and then I can see what exactly. So what is my baseline, and what of the stuff that I'm doing or want to do or whatever has an effect on it, right? And see if
Uh
through
huh.
the time I'm getting worse or not.
Okay.
That's what I'm interested in.
So the traditional inflammation markers don't correlate with brain inflammation, CRP, IL-6.
Of course they do, but I want something more direct, because this is
Okay.
very systemic, right?
Uh-huh.
And yeah, I want something very direct. Another thing that I pay attention for the brain. So I bought myself this device that measures your macular pigment. Have you heard of this stuff? These
No,
devices?
I
Yeah.
did
Okay.
not.
So it's usually they have well, not in here in Ecuador, but in United States you can find abroad for sure.
What
Is
does
this
it
device?
measure?
It measures your macular pigment.
What is that? Macular pigment.
So inside the brain, you have the
Uh-huh.
macular area, and then there's an accumulation of a pigment, which is made of lutein and zeaxanthin and
Oh, okay.
whatever. Okay, and this shit protects your macula from the blue light. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
because blue light is a piece of shit. Okay, and
Mm-hmm.
and so if your macular pigment is low, then you have higher risk of developing macular degeneration,
Oh,
which is
okay.
this.
Okay.
Have you heard of that shit? It's terrible. Imagine you,
Yes,
you
yes.
start losing, yeah, in the middle of your eyesight, you start losing it, right? So it's terrible.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So this is like you can track the macular pigment and see how good you are, and if you are low, well, then it means that you need to supplement with with lutein and zeaxanthin. You can
Mm-hmm.
buy the
Mm-hmm.
pills and then track to time. You can check your pigment and see if it is improving. Okay.
It's a device.
Yeah, the device is
Yeah, I
I don't
see.
remember the name of the thing. Whatever.
MPS2.
Yes, that's the brand.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
So I
I
bought one
think
of
I get
those.
one of these. I'm
Look,
going to.
I bought it recently. Okay.
Uh-huh.
And I had to pick it up in the
You what?
because it's very recent, because I have been wanted to buy for a long time. Okay. But I could not find one. But I found a
Ah.
second-hand one, and which you might be lucky and get it now, because don't quote me. Also, I think if you want to buy new, it costs like $5,000 or something like that. I think,
Oh, yeah, that's
but
expensive.
I think, I'm not sure. Like, that's what I read somewhere. I don't know. So I didn't email these people. It's just what I read somewhere else. I don't know if it is true. But you can buy secondhand. And I found somebody who was selling it for $400, $450, something like that. Yeah, and he's selling two. So I bought one. Maybe the other one is still there. It's in eBay.
Okay. Okay.
So if you want
I
it,
will
you can
hit
look
you
it
up.
up.
So
So
wait, then what you can do with it is that you measure that macular pigment, and based on that you can set your lutein and zeaxanthin supplements.
no, so look, I don't. I this is the supplement part. This is another topic of conversation, right? Let's talk about the compound itself. Okay, lutein and zeaxanthin. With this, it's a proxy of how much of it you have. It goes mainly to your eyes to protect the macula, but it also goes to your brain. Okay, of the carotenoids,
Uh-huh.
lutein specifically is the one that is more found in your brain, in the brain. And if I remember correctly, like there's a correlation about, and it makes sense, right? If you have a lot of lutein in your eye,
Yeah.
you probably have it in your brain, right? And I think they have found that,
Not
like,
always, but yeah.
yeah, I mean, the eye, like the nerves, is part of the brain.
Ah, okay.
Actually, it's the only thing that is out of the cranium that direct contact from the
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
brain. So, and lutein has, I like to combine it with omegas, with DHA,
mm-hmm.
uh, for the brain. So it has many hot functions in the brain. Like, I don't care about improving cognition and all this nonsense. I really don't care about that. I only care about that is helping the mitochondria in my brain, the membranes of the mitochondria, and the plasma. All that kind of things. Because as soon as the inner membranes and the membranes and the membrane potential goes whack, and your mitochondria go whack, it's over. So I pay attention to lutein and zeaxanthin, lutein specifically more, and to the omegas for that specific function,
Mm-hmm.
among other things, right? So yeah, so to my mind, I say, okay, so how good I'm with this stupid molecule. So yeah, so I figure about this device, and I judge that I want to buy one, and keep track of it, right? Yeah. So why we're talking about this?
Well, I don't know, but tell me about your supplements since we are going into that. What's your
About the
supplement routine?
supplements, and look, look, I like, of all the people that you find on the internet. Okay, look, at the moment I'm not taking supplements at all. Okay, I just get the only supplement I take is vitamin D, and it's because I don't go out. Okay, and as you can see right now, I'm awake when there's no sun, and I'm sleeping when the sun is out. So I don't go out, and the sun. Look, I'm at the equator. Here is normal to have a UV index of 10. You know,
Mm-hmm.
so that's extremely high,
Mm-hmm.
and so I just don't go out. So I take vitamin D. And funnily enough, when I took the test that I submitted for this competition, I was vitamin D deficient, actually. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Funny, no? And yeah, I'm telling you, I mean, this test was not it's not my test, actually. And if you ask me, I don't think it's that great. But anyway, if NOH give me a good number, right? Yeah,
So, okay, but you just said you're taking fish oils and lutein, or is that from diet?
of course, from that,
Oh, it's from
from
diet.
yeah, of course.
Okay.
So for lutein, you need lutein. You can get it from kale. kale has plenty of that shit. No problem. You need like I don't remember. It's like 10 milligrams, right? Which is a lot, but you can get it from kale. And eating kale is, you know, it's not a good joke. It's not good. I the way I drink the stupid kale is with a with a shake. You know, I mix that shit and it's disgusting. You know, I hate it. Yeah, it's easier to drink a pill, right? But anyway, I like to eat from foods. The molecules that you can get from food, I rather get them from food. You know, because in many cases, like for example, lycopene, it's not the same when you get it isolated than when you get it with the fiber matrix and whatever the fruit contains, right? And I think with lycopene specifically, there's even I don't remember now, but I think there's specific studies that actually, you know, they try to see if they find the benefits from lycopene by using just a supplement, and they don't get the expected results actually. But in any case, so from the molecules that you can get from foods, I just get them from food, like spermidine, lycopene, lutein, zeaxanthin, etc., 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 sulforaphane. Although I haven't eaten sulforaphane, but that's but because I'm an idiot, right? This is curcumin, you know, etc. And obviously, it matters that, you know, to combine them right appropriately, right, to increase the bio whatever, you know what I mean, that you are
Availability.
able to, it's more available, bio available. That's right. And this is where I remember about Lustgarten. You know Lustgarten.
Yes,
You know who's Lustgarten. Of course,
Michael.
you know who's Lustgarten. One parenthesis about Lustgarten. You know Lustgarten. You know that's a German word.
That's a German name, right?
Yes, Lustgarten. You know
Yes.
what it sounds like?
What it means?
I
It's
think it means the garden of
Garden
lust.
of Lust. That's a
Anyway,
cool
so
name to have.
yeah. Anyway, I mean, he's a cool guy. I mean, I think he's the most transparent of
uh,
everybody. He's very transparent. He's a very cool guy and very practical. But anyway, but going back to the conversation, I remember he saying about why he doesn't take supplements, and I think he said that is because as he gets older, what happens if food is not good enough, and then he needs to, you know, start using supplements, okay, to have an effect or whatever. I don't know. I don't remember. Something like that. I think he has said something like that. Have you heard that? No. Yes. No.
well, I do hear his arguments, but I probably don't understand because I don't believe that's the case. So,
And why
so,
you don't
so,
believe?
so, so look. If you can take something with a pill, then why would you eat kale?
Ah, well, there are reasons, as I told you. I mean, some molecules they don't work
Bioavailability, yeah.
when they are
But
isolated. But
well,
yeah,
what if you take it with something that gets it just as bioavailable as with normal food, right? Like let's say fish oils, right? Fish oils in themselves are 9 times less bioavailable than from actual fish. So okay, but you know what you can do to make it only 3 times less bioavailable? Well, first of all, you can take more. Second of all, you ate it with some fatty food. And there you go. You don't have to eat fish anymore.
yeah.
No? Okay.
Well, the question is, I mean, supplements are expensive, no?
And not
They're
as
expensive.
expensive as the macular pigment monitoring with MPS2.
So about the loose garden approach, about this. So I mean, supplements are expensive, okay? And if you are trying to get like plenty of molecules, like, you know, then you know you will end up drinking I don't know how many pills, and the check is gonna be huge, you know.
Mhm,
So and on top of that, in some cases, the molecule works better in the food. In some
mhm,
cases,
mhm.
S-
Most often.
and
Right.
I mean, you can be creative. You can make nice dishes, right? And I mean, yeah, I'm not a chef, Okay, so and I actually have a peculiar story with food. Actually, all my life I never liked food. Okay, it was for my family, obviously for my parents, it was a complete headache. But I didn't like food.
That's why your pheno age is so low.
I don't know, maybe, I don't know, whatever. So I didn't like food. Okay, many foods I didn't try them until in my middle 20s, really. Like I don't know, salad, lettuce, tomatoes,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
even fruits, and many of them pretty late. Which honestly, if you ask me, I mean, it's crazy. If that I was not feeling very well at all, because I mean, if you don't eat, okay, you can come up with the fasting and the calorie restriction things argument, but that's a different. That's again like that's
It
a
only
different.
works for fat people.
That's like as an intervention, the calorie restriction, the only one that extends maximum lifespan and whatever in animal models, blah 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 blah, blah what again, as I mentioned you from the beginning, I mean, I'm in a confused state. Before I used to align through that thought, but right now I'm not that sure. Actually, there's a trade-off in all these things, and so yeah. I mean, then
What you pay attention for,
uh,
in nutrition? What do you pay attention to?
in nutrition. So right now I'm focusing on just getting rid of inflammation, trying to send inflammation to zero. Focusing,
What's your main? What's the main thing one can do?
it's I cannot answer you this because I think it's very personal. Okay, I don't think there's
Mm-hmm.
such thing like something fits all. There are some general guidelines, okay, that you can follow, but I think it's important if you obviously keep track of things. It's not that you just drink something and expect it's gonna work, right? And yeah, I mean, there's some basic things. Obviously, I mean, curcumin, turmeric is great, blueberries, polyphenols, antioxidants. And I think it matters a lot the timings. You have a strategy how you consume them with depending on what you do, the times.
I don't
Uh,
understand what you mean by
like a
timing
basic example, if
blueberries.
you do exercise, you're not going to overdose it with vitamin C, for example. You may blunt the adaptations of exercise, for example.
Mm-hmm.
So or I don't know, there are so many combinations you can try, honestly. One, for example, let's say you want to support autophagy, and let's say, okay, before sleep, eat spearmint, for example, and then you go to sleep, and then you wake up and see. So I don't know. I mean, and it might be stupid, whatever, but in the end, try to have some logic how you apply things, right? Not just randomly, and also be aware of things you're not supposed to mix, right? Like for
Mm-hmm.
example, it's very typical to mix blueberries with yogurt, for example, right?
You're not supposed to.
No, or with any dairy. You know what I mean? So stuff like that. So be aware of these things. But again, I mean, all of this in the end, this is will this defeat aging?
Mm-hmm.
Is the big question. Okay, you're gonna be more healthy and whatnot, but the question remains, and yeah. So I don't know. Uh, yeah, that's when I get my I get
Okay. What
the
about the
conflict stuff.
last thing that you don't believe will defeat aging? How are you with exercise? You exercising?
Oh my god, that's a this is you know with exercise. Then again, there's so many details, right? For example, people talk about VO2 max, for example. Yeah, great, right? And if you are not trained and you try to figure what's your VO2 max, I mean, that's not really your VO2 max. That's what they call VO2 peak, I think, and which is what you can achieve with your lame state, right? But that doesn't mean that that's your actual VO2 max. Okay, and also is because it all depends how developed you are, not just in different aspects. Like, when you train, like for example, for endurance, you develop certain types of muscle fibers, right? And also capillaries develop more, right, around them, so the more blood can go and take out metabolites or whatever out of it. Your plasma volume change in your body, which also affects your HRV. But then it's very specific to the activity you're doing. Like for example, if your VO2 max, let's say, for running is one number, it's for running. But then if you do the VO2 max test in a different exercise, like bicycle, it's a different one and probably
Right.
lower if you didn't train it, right? So yeah, in training, because I like mitochondria, right? So with exercise you can use mitochondrial biogenesis and this stuff, right? So look, in these things, I wish I'm more knowledgeable. I mean, I need more time. I mean, this is a journey, right? Time passes and you keep learning and changing things and evolving, right? So at the current moment, what I'm looking for forward is to try to do different kinds of endurance training, not just restrict to one exercise. Like for example, if I do bike, I will also do another exercise like rowing, for example, so that what I'm training, it involves different categories of muscles. Like bike is usually
Mm-hmm.
is more like down, right? But if you do rowing, it's more like upper body, core, and also legs, right? But you work your core, other group of muscles. And so if you get those endurance induced adaptations in those parts, ideally, the training is more complete. It's
Mm-hmm.
not too isolated, right? So with respect to cardio, as in general they say, I would try to do this, like to have a more complete training, not just too isolated. And of course, then resistant training. I have been not doing much resistant training, but it's not because I don't think it's useful. On the contrary, it's because I'm an idiot and I have been procrastinating. And I think it's a big mistake and I should be doing urgently, actually. I think resistant training is very important, especially because of the bones. Not only the muscles, also the bones. And not just because as you get older, the bones go away, right? The same as with muscle, right? And try to minimize risk of osteoporosis and all this nonsense. It's because in the bones, you have in your legs, you have the bone marrow, right? And the bone marrow is super important. That's where your immune cells come, right? So you need to have I think the bone marrow is like, is super important. Your immune age as you get old, it becomes stupid, it becomes weak, and then
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't work, and then you die. I pay a lot of attention to keep bone marrow health well, and for that, to keep a healthy microenvironment, the bone is important, okay? It's very important, and the muscle as well. And in fact, I mean, it makes sense, right? I think you stop building for muscles. I think you peak at 50s, I think. For men, I think 40s, 50, I don't remember. And then it starts going whack, right? The muscles. For bones, I think it's up to 30. But,
Mm-hmm.
I may be wrong. I don't remember. But anyway, so basically, if you don't focus on your bones in your young years, then from there it goes south. So it suggests that if you don't take care of that part of your body at that time, then it's kind of like in the same way people argue about sarcopenia, that you have to build more muscle until this time, because then you start losing muscle every year and whatnot, whatever. It suggests that you better start working that part, at early age, if you want to live longer, right?
Yeah, so you better start working that part.
Yeah, and keeping good health in the bones, and you can indirectly, this is indirect, it's not like it's a
Mm-hmm.
proxy,
Mm-hmm.
okay, a proxy marker. And from the clinical biomarkers from the lab, unfortunately, here in Ecuador we don't have we are very limited of what you can track, but in specialized you can track well, here they give you osteocalcin. It's an hormone that comes from the bones. But here we're not allowed to track fractions of it, which is what ideally you will want to do. But maybe you don't need to do that. Este, You can track also, they don't have it here. There's the alkaline phosphatase. There's a specific versions for the bones, but they don't offer here. They offer the standard one, but you can track that. And ideally you want to keep that at the low. Yeah, so resistance training is very important. It's very important for this and other reasons, obviously. It's very important. Yeah, I'm an impractical person. Okay, I'm very practical because yes, I refuse to go to, like, I used to like to go to the gym before, but I stopped really liking it. So I decided that I want to do home gym.
Yeah.
So so I'm getting the things slow, little by little, but it's taking me some time. And in the meantime, I suffer. It's stupid. It's completely irrational, but this is me. I mean, I make no sense in many cases.
Yeah,
It's very stupid.
you know
It's very
what can give you a full, like a bodybuilding workout with all the basic exercises? There are these dumbbells, those you can set the weight. So you don't
Yeah,
have to like move the weight around, but you can just set them.
yeah.
Uh,
And I am more. Look, I like the squat, the cage. I like the cage.
mhm.
With the cage you can do practically most things, and of course I like dumbbells, and I look, call me traditional, whatever. I like the separate dumbbells. So I just plan to get the cage and the barbell, the plates, and of course there's other things that you can do, like explosive, not explosive training. I don't know how do you pronounce these things, like when you do uh, jumping and all these kind of things. And then there are other categories of exercises which are important for other things, because there's another thing in aging that happens, that you start losing the innervation of the whatever. So basically you have these motor neurons that connect to the fibers, and then you start losing it with age, and there's
Mhm.
an apparent, and if I remember, there's no way how to recover them. It's over. So it can come a point as you get older that, for example, you have these things in your diaphragm and other parts, and if they go away, then you have no control of the thing and you die. There's somebody in
You
YouTube that
see,
talks a lot about it. What was his name? He's a funny guy. Eh,
I am longevity.
yes, yes,
Yeah,
that guy
right.
talks a lot about this. Yeah, but the correct term, not the correct term, but I think they call it denervation. I don't know.
So this is something to do with how the very first thing that you're losing while you're aging is that your explosive muscle power, right? Like how fast you're moving your body. That's what you're losing. That's why football players start to become too old by 30 years old to play football. My understanding of his theory is that if you can prevent this loss of explosive muscle power, then that might have downstream implications to, you see, he has a big claim here, to all the other biomarkers of aging. So he believes that aging comes from this,
Yeah,
because this happens
I
at
don't.
first.
I don't think so. Honestly, I actually
Mhm.
don't know much about his what he says. Honestly.
Yeah, I've read his paper.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, no, no idea. But yeah, look, a good filter. You know what is a good filter? You just have to see the guy who's talking, right? If they look like shit, red flag, right? And what I mean with if they look like shit, what I mean is, like, the guy is 61, I think, but he looks like
Uh-huh.
shit. He looks like shit.
He does.
He looks terrible. I mean, I don't care how he moves. He looks like shit. His face, the quality,
Ah,
everything. You know what I
I
mean?
see what you mean.
Okay, and there are many examples. You can see many of people talking about longevity, and in most cases, they look like shit. I play this game all the time with my wife. I tell her, "Hey, I don't tell her who he is or she, whatever. I just ask, how old do you think he is, or whatever." We play that game, and usually they're way older than their actual age, and these people are
Uh-huh.
telling you what to do. I mean, I think it's just inconsistent. It's like you have an obese guy telling you how to lose weight. But okay, maybe I'm a bit too rough or too strict, because obviously you have an whole life of abuse, and then all of a sudden you decide to change whatever. Obviously you won't see many changes, but again, this is a bit debatable too.
You know what I'm going to do with the Longevity World Cup in the coming days? I'm going to implement a little feature that I don't show any athlete, any of the ages of the athletes, but people will have to guess before they see their age, right?
Yeah, that's a good game.
Yeah, and then what we're gonna have is like an estimation of a crowd.
Who
What
wins?
age are they
Yeah,
guessing?
I think that makes more sense. Actually, I think that's more precise. I mean, how people are attracted to other people, right? The brain through evolution, right? Through so many thousand or whatever years, we have evolved some mechanism that we are not even aware of, that you can find what's healthy and what's not healthy, right? So
Right,
if you
but
would,
you know, like there is Photoshop and AI, so
no, come on, no, obviously, but we're
and
not
makes
talking about that.
pictures look good.
Yeah, but assuming everything is ideal, and of course, many people apply Botox and whatever, which is cheating, right? If you want to
Oh yeah.
be true to the cause, I mean, you're not just putting Botox or facelifts, or like many do, right? And then you can, of course, it's fine to do it, but it's a bit sketchy. It can, what I
Hmm.
mean. But in any case, when some people, it looks fake, and it doesn't. I don't know. It doesn't look good, I think. But we're talking about this. For example, who I think is now. I'm not sure that much, but back in the day, the guy from Karate Kid, the actor.
Yes.
Have you seen the interviews that he did when he was 30 something years old?
I saw the Karate Kid, but not the interviews.
Okay, so there's an interview they did to him when he was 30 something, but the guy looks like he's like 15. Yeah, it's
Oh yeah.
ridiculous. You're like, what the fuck? I mean, you see him, and the guy looks like 15. He looks, and he's like 30, 10, 20, 30 years old.
Uh-huh,
And
uh-huh.
and also, like, if you see him now, he's like 62, I think. And if you compare how Miyagi, which the actor by that time was 62, when Miyagi and this guy was like the old movie, Miyagi
Uh-huh.
was like 62 in real life, and right now that they're doing the same thing, this guy is now 62. But if you compare the two, Miyagi
This is
looks like
62. No way.
yeah, he's 62. Yeah, Miyagi looks like ancient next to this guy.
How old is Ralph Macchio?
Yeah, I don't know how you pronounce it.
63. Holy crap. Holy crap.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah.
no
It's crazy.
way.
He
All
looks very
right.
good, no?
Yeah, he looks
And I
much,
don't think
much
he does
younger.
shit. He probably
He
doesn't do
doesn't
shit.
look like Miyagi for sure.
Yeah, yeah. And the crazy thing is he probably doesn't do shit, you know.
Uh-huh.
But
He
anyway,
does
so
karate, right? Like
huh?
he does karate, right? Like
Oh yeah, right. Yeah, that's the
maybe
secret.
that's the although it wasn't the secret of Mr. Miyagi, so who knows?
Yeah,
All
so
right.
yeah, that's a great idea. This game that I think it might be more accurate actually, but who knows? Maybe in some cases, I think depends on what we're talking about, right? Because I like to divide like some issues, like for example, atherosclerosis and these kind of things, or not necessarily atherosclerosis, but other, I don't know, whatever. Some things that can kill you, but I think you can be young and still have some pathologies that they will kill you, even though you're young. You know what I mean? So, assuming that you don't have these things, and you just see how the person looks, and it's just judging and how do you feel how the person, if he looks young or older, is a very good proxy of age. It might be even better, maybe. I don't know. What do you think? I
Um
mean, in the end, that's what people want. Actually, what is what people want? They want to be young and look young, right? This is what actually people is looking for. I don't. Many, it's not they just want to be healthy. They actually want to look young and good, right?
so how you look is what qualifies you, but your biomarkers actually count. Um that would be what I would say, right? We had the exact same dilemma and trap that we went into when in this bodybuilding era, right? A while ago, it was that I have bigger muscles, therefore my argument is correct. This is how the internet started, right? I have bigger muscles, therefore I am right about this bodybuilding question and not you, because you're just a lowly scientist. And we learned that that's not how it works, but there is something to it, for sure. My final topic today, because we are both Bitcoiners, right? Or at least I hope so. I want to hear your Bitcoin story.
My Bitcoin story is a frustrating one. Look, I heard about Bitcoin many years ago. You know, before I was very stupid, like super stupid. Okay, and had not much skills and not much knowledge, and so as a result, you're limited to what you do, what you can do, and so I knew about Bitcoin. I wanted to buy Bitcoin since like 2011, 2010, something like that. But I was not able to do it because I didn't know how to. And because I was very by myself, really, in the things that I do and want to do. Like, you're by yourself, right? And I was not a great user of the internet myself. So, I was like very old school. Back in those times, I actually wanted to be a writer. Okay. So I was with books, physical books. Okay. Sorry. It's just, we're talking about Bitcoin, right? So, so I was not using computers. I was using the computer for writing, okay, but that's it. So I was using by then Pages. I had a MacBook, and so I was just writing, but I was reading everything on books and literature, philosophy, all these kind of things, and that's the only thing I would do. And I was traveling a lot in many places, okay, like hitchhiking and these kind of things. And so, but I wanted to buy Bitcoin, and even though I didn't understand anything of it, but I thought it was a I didn't know anything about Bitcoin. And if you want to me to be honest, the only thing I knew, why I knew about Bitcoin, is because I heard that it had a massive pump, like to from cents to $20 or something like that. And so I was like, okay, this sounds interesting. And
And
I
it's
heard
too
many people.
expensive. $20, come on.
Wait. That's a scam. I mean, why you gonna buy that shit? No, it's not worth it. Don't pay attention. Just even forget it. And of course, I'm an idiot, and I was more focused on my thing, so I didn't pay attention, and I didn't know how to do it. And I wanted to be the best writer in the world, so I was very into that shit. And yeah, so I spent the time passed, and then it came 2013. I was already in Austria, so there was a conference here in Ecuador about space apps. It's a hackathon that NASA does, and with my brother, well, he did most of it. I just applied, but anyway, there was a hackathon of NASA called Space Apps, and so we did it here. And one of the events with this conference hackathon was that at my home, a dude came that is into privacy and free software, all these kind of things, and he was literally teaching people how to open a Bitcoin wallet in those times.
Wasabi.
No, no.
Yeah.
And I was not there, and I couldn't do it. I was in Austria, right? And then and they said, and I was like, and then another pump happened. It went like 200 some $50, something like that. And I was like, shit, oh my God, from 20 to $250, my God. Then you start feeling that it's chucha, you're late, you missed it, right? But because I already knew that, you had these massive dumps afterwards, after these blog tops, I was like, I'm just gonna wait until that time comes. And then again, I just let it go, let it go. And then again, it happened in 2015. 2000, that it went to like I don't know how much it went. Maybe I'm
20,000, 10,000.
yeah, maybe I'm confusing the dates, but I remember it went to, I don't remember, but I remember at one point it was 3,000, something like that. I don't know, and then it went
Oh,
to
oh.
20,000,
No,
and
you're right. You're right. I get into in 2013. That's when the $1,000 was, and after that it went down, and then I guess 2015 was like 1,000.
Yeah,
Not
3,000. I don't know.
10,000. Yeah,
I don't
something
remember.
like that.
You can check that in the chat, no problem. But I don't remember.
Mm.
But what I remember is that I was so angry at myself. I was so depressive when I learned that it went, and I was like, 3,000. I'm so late. I miss it. How could I have missed it? I'm such a moron. I remember I was so upset. I was extremely upset.
I feel your pain.
I was so upset. I remember. I could not believe it. How could I have done? And I actually, but it was not that bad because I actually had tried to do something at that point. I actually, Coinbase existed already, so I download Coinbase, and unfortunately, I could not use it because I think it was. I could not use that shit. Okay, I could not buy it. Nothing.
Of
I could just
course.
see the fucking prices. You know, and I
Uh-huh.
remember I could see these altcoins and Litecoin was there and
Yeah.
Bitcoin and and
Prime coin.
and yeah, but I could not do it and the fucking app stay on my phone forever, right? And you see how painful it's getting, and then
Mhm.
I again. I think I thought then, okay, I'm gonna wait until it goes to zero again because before he had this. I mean, still it has this massive the bear markets, right, long and nasty shit, right?
Yeah.
And then I say I'm gonna wait until the next one happens and I'm gonna buy, right? I got in. I got into startups in 2016. I got accepted in Ireland. They had this IndieBio European Union. I don't know if you know IndieBio. Well, so it's an
It's
accelerator for
okay.
biotechnology.
Mm-hmm.
They have one in San Francisco. Right now, the one in Europe doesn't exist. Now it's in New York. But back in the day, it was only San Francisco and Ireland in Cork. So I was one of the with a startup, I got approved to this thing. Had a great time. I was 2016, and I was very focused on this thing, and I was working on this. And then in 2018, there was the other bull market, right, and the bear market. I'm sorry, right,
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
of Bitcoin, and it went to 20,000,
Uh-huh.
and then it crashed to 5,000, something like that, and nothing. And then when I was finally back, Corona times happened. I find that I was a little bit more abilities to do stuff, right? And I wasn't that idiot. I decided, you know what? The time has come. I'm gonna do it now. It's been so many years that I haven't been able to do this because I'm a fucking moron. I'm just gonna buy. And so I bought when it was like, you know, I bought like in at the big like April 2021, the worst time ever. You remember what
I
happened in April
don't.
10? You
It
don't
crashed.
remember? Come on.
What was
Eh,
it? I don't
it,
pay attention to price a long time now.
April and May were the first top of that cycle, and then the second top after the summer, right? That was later, but it,
Uh,
April everything went up like May, but in May, so yeah. So it was not a great time. Like all through all those
okay. Okay.
years, I
Okay.
was
So,
always with the right mindset of that I'm gonna
and did
buy
you
when.
sell?
Ah, no,
Did
I
you
did not
sell?
sell.
Oh, you did
No,
not.
eventually I did. Well, and then I got into mining. You know,
Oh yeah.
yeah. So so I mean, it's a very hurtful and sad
Hmm.
story with Bitcoin. I mean,
Longevity, sport community, longevity as a sport. For me, it's very small right now. It's a couple of people, right? Michael Carton, Kate Blondin, Dave Pasco, Julie Gibson Clark, like, and you, right? It's very small people, but it's growing. It's getting bigger and bigger, and I kind of have the feeling like I had in the beginning of Bitcoin. Well, not the beginning, but when I started Bitcoin, like that kind of small community that people are trying to do stuff and things are getting bigger. I think it's a good thing to be in. Now, unfortunately, you cannot buy the longevity sport coin, but this might be something to pay attention to and contribute to because this could get big.
you remind me of something. it's about the way it's being scored. In this leaderboard, remember?
Yeah, yeah.
That is basically from
I
all
had
tests
it.
grabbing.
No, tell me about it. I had it as a topic. It just had so many questions. But tell me about it, and then it's back to me,
It's
and
not real.
we talk about it. Wait,
It's not
what?
real, man. Like basically, there are many examples you can
Let's
make of. Like,
start from the beginning.
okay, my claim is, so how the scoring system works. You put many tests, and then it grabs the best score per marker per test, and makes a single one, and then it scores, and then it calculates the fan of each of these aggregate of best scores overall, right? Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Yeah. No. Why?
Yeah.
It's not real,
No,
man. It's like
it's not
making a
good.
fiction.
I agree.
It's like, I mean, it's like, okay, we're playing poker, okay, right? I have my set of cards, in this game, and I lost. Let's say, then we played 10 times,
Mhm.
and let's say we lost in all of them. Aha! But if I check in all my hands of each game, and I select the best card of whatever of each hand, such that I make the perfect hand, and then I compete with the perfect with this fiction, right?
Mhm.
Let's say a royal flush, and they say, okay, because I have this through all these games, the card such that I'm able to construct a royal flush, then that means I won the games. Of course
Uh-huh.
not, man. I mean, no.
Let me tell you another more an analogy that's more closer to home, which is Brian Johnson. I don't know if you follow the drama about Brian Johnson. That okay, you know he's always saying I have the best biomarkers in the
Of course.
entire world. Okay, but Brian is actually not publishing these biomarkers. So how are he claiming that? Okay, so people called him out that, hey Brian, like, what the fuck, man? You're not publishing the biomarkers.
Yeah,
Okay,
cherry
so
picking.
he published. He published the biomarkers, but what he did is that he took the past 2 years of all his tests and he took the best result from each and every test of the past 2 years, right?
I mean, that's stupid. You know,
So
it's
yeah,
stupid. I'm not
now
interested in that stupid shit. I mean, in my mind, what's more important? The important is to be able to stop aging, right?
mhm.
That's what matters, not to whatever. Yeah, I mean, Brian Jones. I mean, what do you think of Brian Jones? You like him?
I like his vision. Let's leave it with that. Let's let's get back to the the longevity World Cup. So
Yeah. So, and so in addition to that,
so
it's a fictional idea. It's almost like an idealizado. Yes, idealized of oneself. You know what I mean. Uh,
yes, but
you can cheat. You actually can cheat.
you
You
can't.
know
It's
how?
against the rules.
Yes, but yes, of course.
uh,
But again, as you can see, I mean, not everybody is like transparent, especially if money is involved, right? Like if there's money involved, they don't. In the end, I don't give a shit. I just want to get money. I'll do whatever, right? You can cheat if it is if you can if it works like this. Like for example, let's say you want to, I don't know, lower a specific number of alkaline phosphatases or whatever, or in the complete blood count, for example, red blood cells. No, red blood cells, no, the white blood cells or anything. There are ways you can change it, right? Like you can like drink water to hell, overhydrate yourself. You're gonna modify the numbers. It's gonna tell you a different thing. If you're
that's
dehydrated, you're gonna get a different number.
so
For example,
that's not cheating
it's
because
cheating
that's
because
that's
because
according to the rules it's not cheating. What you're trying to say is that that doesn't reflect the biological realities. The rule set doesn't reflect the biological realities as well as it could, right?
I don't understand.
So there are two things. One is what are the rules, and one is what should be the rules,
Right.
right? And I agree this should not be the rules. This is not how it should work. What it should matter is that at a specific time, what pheno age you you succeeded to create in 2025, right? We are talking about 2025. Every year a different biological age calculation is going to be used, but we are talking about 2025. It's pheno age. So let me give you a historical perspective on this issue. Now, I was in Prospera and people were coming to me that, you see, I just did this blood test, but I already have this, but this blood test doesn't have C-reactive protein, but I already have this C-reactive protein from January. Can I apply with that? And I'm like, of course, like you have
No,
all the numbers you need.
no, it doesn't work. No,
Well,
come
but I
on.
thought it does.
I mean, even the CRP during the day changes. Like, as you know, like it's a different situation. No, yeah,
So look, past mistakes were made. Let's leave it with that. The thing is, people were sending in partial results, right? They were doing new tests. In the new test, the laboratory was erroring out on one of the biomarkers, but they still want to submit the rest of the biomarkers and stuff like that. So there were these kind of situations. And then I started noticing people where they were doing proper tests, but only sending only in the biomarkers, those are better, right? So they started selectively sending in the biomarkers. Uh, and I'm like, okay, this is not going to end up well. So I had to level the playing field. Now the best biomarkers count, and people cannot selectively, if they try to not send in biomarkers, it doesn't matter anymore because everyone's best biomarkers count. And I know it is, I'm in a corner here,
yeah.
but I'm going to suffer with this till the end of
I understand.
2025 until we change. Yeah.
Maybe you can make a, like, for example, uh, like a kind of like a category. Like, for example, you say the best ideal pheno age, this,
Mm-hmm.
and then you have the real one, right? Yeah, and then if you want to apply for the real one, then you have to put dates, and I think it should come from the actual test, not from elsewhere or from a different time point, because
Mm-hmm.
it's not realistic, it's not real. And in the end, what is difficult in this crap is to have consistently lower, right? And yeah, it's not yeah, because then you have to have with good habits and whatever, as a lifestyle. It's not that you do this for one day and 1 week or whatever, and that's it. And as I was telling you, you can cheat in the other way. You know, you can dilute the number. You can overhydrate yourself. You can take the test at different times during the day. You can do it non-fasted. You can do it fasted. There are so many ways that you can do. You can take medication. You can drug yourself. Because it doesn't matter. You just care about modifying one biomarker, so it doesn't matter what happens
Mm-hmm.
to the other ones, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Because you're just getting
You
an aggregate
can,
from each one.
right. You can get a continuous glucose monitor, right, and get the best result. So, but look, for this year, this is part of the game, and I'm not happy about that, right? You're not the first one who noticed
Complain.
this and complained, and but the only problem is that, if I keep changing the rules, it's gonna be a problem. But on the other hand, every year the rules are changing, so
And
at
also
least it's not gonna be forever.
you're on beta, right? It's supposed to launch in 2 months. I think it's
Yes,
okay. I think it's different when it's not in beta and then you're changing the rules. Of course, then, but you're on beta, so it's in testing. So I think it's fine.
there are like, I don't know, 20 people whose results would change based on this. I think it's too big at this point. Look, yeah, you don't have to like the rules. I don't like the rules, but this is what it is. And for this year, I'm the one who's to blame, who didn't think ahead enough and made the wrong decisions early on, but gonna make the right decisions from consequent years, right? This is not gonna happen again. uh
I actually
Look.
remember when I wanted to go back before. Remember, there was something I wanted to go back before. We were talking about loose garden approach, about not talking supplements or yes or no, whatever. Remember?
Mhm, mhm.
And then I'm actually kind of changing my mind at the moment about being more open to supplements, actually specific ones, and it's specific ones, right? Yeah, for specific molecules. Okay, I'm still looking into that, but bear with me. So, for example, I was thinking, okay, there are two things. One, it's more or less like I wonder, should I start exercise when I have sarcopenia? You know, why would you do that, right? It's like, why would you take supplements when the problem is there?
I see, I see.
Or right? Or so that made me think about the argument that Luz Garden gives, right? What would you not do now, right? And second, and then on the other hand, the second part is about if really uh, at our young age it really determines how long you will live. Why will not try now to optimize as much as I can with everything, like give it all, right? If
Mhm,
that
mhm.
will you know guarantee that, not guarantee, let's say, increase my odds of living longer. So then I'm like, maybe I should look more into this. So yeah, right now
Yeah,
I'm at that point,
snort the
and
creatine, man. Snort it.
but what?
Snort
What?
the creatine.
Oh, and but yeah, but again, I'm a bit. I like to understand what I'm doing, so it takes me plenty of time to figure things out, like a lot of time. And so, for example, in the case of supplements, to know what to apply and what are the doses, the timings. But then right now I'm at that point, right, to figure exactly what I'm gonna do.
Well,
It's
good luck
it's
with
lots of
that.
conflicts.
No, no,
Yeah.
no.
Okay. That's
Okay, so
considered
look,
broad.
what's one thing that you strongly believe to be the case, but very few people agree with you on?
What's the thing? Oh, okay. No, look, I I'm not the right person to ask that kind of question, to be frank, because I really don't talk to people. Yeah, I really don't
You
talk
don't
to
know what they
people.
believe in. Fair
So I
enough.
really don't know. And this is another thing. You have to be social. It's good for the brain and longevity, whatever, right? And I agree, right? Well, yeah. Well, I don't know. Maybe not. I don't know. Yeah, let's say I don't know. Okay. Yes, I actually don't know. So answering to your question, I really don't know because I really don't talk much to people. I really don't talk to people. For me, it's, you know, people are full of lots of issues. Like everybody has issues, right? And the problem is that you really cannot have a good conversation with a lot of people. Like there are levels, and in many cases the ego comes out, and it's annoying. Like you cannot really talk normal with a person because I like to be, believe it or not, I try to be careful, right? I mind a lot about when I'm talking to somebody. Well, I think I am a nice person, right?
Am.
So I try to be nice and everything, and it's tiring. Okay, it's tiring, and so I don't talk to people. And also, the things that I'm interested in are like, I haven't met many people around here that are into these kind of things. And yeah, I mean, I have a good friend, and but yeah, but anyway, it's not that I talk.
very often, really.
Nick Sabu said, who might have been the inventor of Bitcoin, we don't know, that he lives on the internet because the people around him are not interested in the same things that he is. So, Juan, thank you very much for coming. You're a very colorful person. And wow, just wow, this might have been the most dynamic episode that I've ever had. Awesome. Thank you very much. I hope you can come back at some point, maybe to a panel with Michael Lusgarten or something.
Oh my God, Michael Lusgarten. Yeah, why not? Sure, just let me know.